Hi.
And we're live.
And we're live. We started
Exciting. How do you feel?
I'm good. How do you feel?
Not too bad. I mean,
we're finally doing it.
We made it though.
We did
I think
make
we
it.
made it here, so that's a good thing. Welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brandon Reed and Alexis Butler here with you today.
Yeah, and welcome to Two Scoops,
Hey,
everyone. Welcome.
Today, we are actually going to get into some things more about restaurants and different concepts of like how we view things. Really, the whole integral structure for this whole podcast is really trying to broach the idea or broach the conversation about, the intergenerational gap between two races, two genders, in society, at home, whether it be your older brother or your mother or your boss at work, a lot of those things that just go unsaid in the environment or in everyday life that people kind of just don't talk about, but, they kind of shut behind closed doors.
We're sharing our opinions.
Yeah, essentially.
We're sharing our opinions, but we're sharing our opinions from two completely different standpoints.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Let's see how you feel about it after, we really start sharing our opinions. But go from there.
I guess, yeah. So I guess.
What made us want to do this, though? That's the real
What made
question.
us want to do this is I started working with Branden at the end of November. And from the get-go, I knew that he had a big personality. I think he realized that I also have a pretty big personality.
And we butted heads.
I didn't really like him for the first 2 weeks that I worked there because I didn't think he was that nice. But, then we started to talking and I realized, we can get into some really heated arguments, debates.
Animated to say the least.
We like to bring it. And I think that it provides entertainment for the both of us. And
with a little background about yourself, though, you graduated.
Yeah, so I just graduated from SUNY Oneonta this past spring with a degree in communications and media studies. So I am, I'm 22 years old. I'm about to turn 23. And I'm currently living at home, which is why I work in the restaurant industry. And this is where I've lived my entire life.
And what do you do in the restaurant industry?
I am a server. I am a waitress.
Okay.
I have bartended, but currently I'm serving waiting tables.
I don't know. How many places have you actually
I've only worked in 2 restaurants.
2 restaurants ever?
Yeah, I worked at a country club restaurant, and then I work at the restaurant that we're at now.
All right, solid.
So yeah, and let's get some information on Branden.
Me. Let's see what is there to know. I'm like a 31-year-old journeyman. I cook food. I work in the hospitality and culinary my whole life. I've worked a little bit in the front of the house. I've worked in the back of the house for a majority of it. About 12 years now, all in the Hudson Valley. We are located in upstate New York. Quick shout out to Q29 and Hyde Park for being here. That's awesome.
I love that we can do this close to home. This is right in our comfort zone.
Fun fact, this is my hometown. So,
this is Branden's hometown.
This is my hometown, all 3 levels.
He's a regular around here.
Regular. Too many, not that I should put it out there like that, but, some people might love me, but some people might hate me either way. I've worked in the restaurant industry my whole life. Like, Alexis said, I met her back in November when she started waiting tables at the restaurant that we work at. I cook in the kitchen. And, we kind of butted heads in that sense. I think a lot of our conversations sparked a lot of different, a lot of our arguments sparked a lot of different conversations that made people a little bit more interested, that engaged, that we kind of took notice to, whether it be other staffs that were kind of giving their opinions or it just was more constructive than what you would hear in every day.
It wasn't like we were I felt that the conversations that you and I had were real with each other because we weren't just arguing about nonsense.
Yes.
We were arguing about things that you and I were both equally passionate about, but just had 2 completely different.
Again, and though, a lot of things that it just seems to almost it's things that people are afraid to talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And bring up. So.
I think that shows, how comfortable I am with you because I'm not scared to show you, my full.
It definitely shows a level of maturity that I think, that is reserved for not, for some people of your age group or generation, to say the least. But, which is definitely comforting, when we're able to have those conversations and they're not held against me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just not looked at as some bigoted,
No,
misogynistic.
you can't.
That's just good. So we can't go off yet, right?
Yeah.
now.
So we figured, the best way to really get everybody to know us would be to sort of share some stories
About ourselves, right?
about ourselves and, things that we've encountered working in the service industry.
How about we give like maybe a little bit of like what people will expect, coming in these couple seasons, like what are some of the topics that we're going to get into?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd love
Like
to
deep,
discuss that first.
You know what I mean? Before we start just
so
into the stories.
what would you say how you would describe this podcast?
I would say it's like bridging the gap. Do you know what I mean? That's my whole thing. That's
the
like,
intergenerational gap within society.
Yes.
That was our mission.
Right,
for
that's
this.
our mission, to bridge the gap, because I feel like we do live in a very divisive society.
Oh, 100%.
Regardless of what people try to say, and we only find solace in like minds.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just natural. Like everyone turns to
Well,
somebody.
and this has been something that's been going on for years.
Yeah, but we've like steadily progressed, regardless whether it was like the protests leading up or, the pandemic, yada, yada, all these little like kind of these microcosms that have grown and turned into like a macro level. Like now it's like, if you don't agree with me, then I don't want, you know what I mean? And it's just
and that's something that I think is really sad to see within our generation. I mean, especially with people my age nowadays, I find that there's a lot of kids that can't, if you have a differing opinion than somebody else, it's hard to have a conversation with them.
They shut down. Anyone will shut down completely.
Because they believe that they are right. And, everybody believes that they're right, but you have to have that compassion to be able to relate to people about other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like the fear of, you know what I mean? The fear of confrontation, the fear of conflict, where it doesn't always have to be.
Yeah, well, and I know that for myself, I hate confrontation. It is one of my biggest things.
I invite it. I welcome it.
Yeah, but see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's,
it's how you grow. You grow under pressure.
Yeah, and I shut down when people confront me.
So, some of the things, not to go too off, some of the things that we would like to get into or talk about while, through the duration of this podcast, is kind of, just little tidbits is, college and the higher education system, how people view those things, the silent quarter life crisis, which we've gotten a lot of feedback on that, those years, that gap year between like post-grad, 22 to 25, 26, when you're still at home.
The golden years.
The golden years, you're still figuring it out. Relationships, and, the introduction to the age of transparency, how people view social media and psychology. These are just some of the topics that we're looking to get into this season, when we're really giving our opinions about, whether it's how a 31-year-old black man views things or biracial man views things at my age, or someone of her age, her demographic, being 21-year-old, a 21-year-old, Caucasian woman, and how she feels in her generation on these topics. So, I think it should be pretty interesting, and everyone should get a little bit of something out of it, for the most part.
Yeah, we really want, this podcast to be able to be reached on a bunch of different audiences, connect to people, because obviously we know that there's some people that would probably listen to the college and higher education system episode, and then some people that probably wouldn't, you know what I mean? Because they have their own feeling about it. They don't care to hear other opinions on it.
One thing I will say, though, from the focus that we've done, like when we've given some other people the ideas and outlines, I am very excited about, the feedback that we've gotten from it, because I've noticed that when you ask someone like, what's your favorite 2 episodes, or what are the 2 topics you want to hear the most, we get a lot of different, we get a lot of diversity. It's like, well, I love the age of transparency, but I want to hear about, the silent quarter life crisis and whatnot. So, that it's just exciting. Everything about this breathes an air of excitement, and it feels like we're doing the right thing. So
yeah, we're excited. We're
go from there. So to go into
dive into our first topic.
Yes.
We thought that the best way to show how we connected and show our 2 differing opinions was to talk about
is the restaurant
industry.
Why not? And what is it? What did we say? What was the topic for the restaurant industry? It's like the difference between the front of the house and the back of the house,
Yeah.
right? Like men and women in the restaurant industry.
Yeah, and the different ages of people that are in
We're
it.
gonna avoid the toxic restaurant culture, though, right?
We are going to avoid the toxic restaurant culture because
we don't live in it.
we don't live in it.
Because we don't live in it, more importantly.
We
More
don't live in it.
importantly,
And
we
that
don't.
is something that I think, not a lot of people have that luxury of working in the restaurant industry because it can be tough, but it can also be super, super fun. And, I look at some of my coworkers as some of my good friends now because we're there together all the time. We go through some really hard stuff.
So this is something I definitely wanted to get into when we were talking about this yesterday, right? We're going right into it. You use the words trapped. When you're talking about the restaurant industry and you were speaking of people being and working in the front of the house and make the money that you make, like you said, it's like almost like an addiction, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're saying.
I totally, because when I was a kid and I had my first job, a lot of my friends all worked in restaurants and I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't have the strength or I don't have like the gusto to be able to do that.
But what do you think it takes to do the job? Do you know what I mean?
I think that it does take a certain personality. I think that you have to have a level of confidence where you're not going to let the smallest things shake you because you can go up to a table that you completely messed up, but if you just greet them with a smile, I'm so sorry that this happened, they believe it. And obviously you are sorry about, things that go on and, if you mess up. However, you can't show that to a customer. You can't because it's going to affect their experience. It's going to affect your experience, like serving them. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like it's harder for you to wait tables being younger when you take table or when you're trying to connect with your customers or the people that you speak to? Or do you think that it's like it doesn't matter?
I think if I had started to do this when I was, say, 18 or 19, I would feel that way. But because I'm at the age, I already went through college. I've been through things in my life. I think that I am, now kind of the average age of somebody that works in the restaurant.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, you even said it the other day, like it blows your mind sometimes how we're all so close in age.
Yeah. Because it's everyone that we work with are like 22 to 24.
Yeah, we're all in our
that waits table.
early 20s that we all wait tables.
If you're 24, I don't know if you're in your early 20s. I'm sorry for everybody who's 24 out there, but you're mid.
I consider 24 and early 20s.
All right, okay. So you feel as if you're more poised and ready to handle that environment now because the post grad you've kind of gone through it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think.
Do you feel people treat you differently though?
Oh, 100%. I think everybody's been to a restaurant. Yeah. However, there are some people that have been to a restaurant that have never worked in a restaurant, and you can pick those people out like this.
And that was gonna go into the site. So you think you could just tell someone who's never worked in a restaurant?
Oh, 100%. Right? Do you not agree?
I
see. That surprises me that you don't agree with that because there are some people that'll come into the restaurant and have absolutely no regard for you. I'll go up to a table, try and greet them. Hi, how are you? I'll have a Diet Coke. Okay, I didn't even get to tell you my name, but
why do they need to know your name?
It's personable. I want to make it feel personable for my people that are there. I always think of it as, I hate to say it like this, but it's an act. It's a show. You are putting on a production for them.
That's where I disagree. Let's
hear your thoughts.
Well, I feel as if when I waited tables,
but it's different because you're in the back of the house.
No, but I used to wait tables. I didn't always work.
All right, so then let's talk about
when
your
I was
experience
younger,
with waiting tables.
I waited tables because you just couldn't work in a kitchen full time unless you had the requisite experience. So, I had to put in part-time work in kitchens and, obviously subsidize that with, front of the house work, waiting tables, blah, 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 for my income. I felt as if my approach was just be the closest thing that I could be to myself. Yeah. Be relatable, obviously, but if I could be the closest thing that I am to myself and knowledgeable about the menu, relatable, then I don't have to feel as the weight, because the act thing feels exhausting to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it is exhausting,
Like, I don't want that kind of weight when I go into work, right? Like when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like, I don't want to feel as if now I need to put on a face or show this facade. So it's like, for me, my approach is, well, like, I'm knowledgeable, I'll be relatable, and I'll be the closest thing to myself. And then kind of like you said, you got to read the environment, read the room. Like if I see that somebody is temperamental or they're not going to be receptive to the certain things, then you keep it sterile. Like you're like straight to it. And then you don't have to do all of the little things like the introduction or whatnot. They're saving you steps. You know what I mean? Essentially, it's like, oh, great, easy. I don't have to work this table as much, you know what I mean? Or be so, put so much energy into it. I don't know. I just felt like it was easier for me. You know what I mean? It was just easier for me to just step in and be Branden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I also think, and everybody knows this, not everybody's going to be receptive of who you are as a person.
And I love that though.
Yeah, and I love that too. However, I think that when it comes to a restaurant, it's like you said, when I, see certain people come in, I can sort of gain a little bit of knowledge of how they are going to treat me.
Okay.
As their waitress.
Well, I could say, to go a little bit, to stay a little bit on task here, for our topic is I could say that I think that I've seen a difference though in generation from when I waited tables to when you guys waited tables.
Why don't you go into that a little bit?
I think the lack of professionalism is absurd. You know what I mean? Like you guys go into the industry nowadays and it's like free for all. It's like, I'm here just to make my money. I want to put as little work in as possible. I should only have to work 15, 20 hours, walk out of here with bands. You know what I mean?
Okay,
and
but see, here's where I'm going to
don't ask anything of me. What, like all of the questions about everything, like the menu, like everything. It's like you.
But
like,
here's where I'm going to rebuttal.
Okay, what is that?
I do agree with you on the standpoint that my generation probably is, yes, a little bit less professional when it comes to this industry. However, I don't like to group myself into that.
You're in it though.
I am in it. However, I've had comments made by other of our, other coworkers that have said, you take your job too seriously. And I do take it seriously.
See that right there too. Who are the others? Well, I'm interested to know who are the others, not in age, like how old are they? How old are the ones telling you to take your job too
They are
seriously?
the same age as me.
Exactly.
However, I know that the harder that I work and the more effort that I put in, the better I'm going to, one, feel about myself, and two, the better my tips are going to look. Okay. So it's like, I want to put in that work, but I also know that there are times where my level of professionalism can sink.
So it's like an individual drive though,
Oh yeah. Well, but I mean once it hits 5 o'clock, I'm ready to go home. However, I might be scheduled for a double, but I might sit there and whine about wanting to leave. Whereas Branden can be there all day long and not complain about it once.
I mean, it's just that's the deal.
Well, but that's what I mean is that's the difference in professionalism. Like you might be just as frustrated as I am, but you're not going to go out there and be like, oh, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go.
And it could definitely just be me on the whole, well, back in my day, but it's like,
back in his day.
At the end of the day, the things that I would have to do to get onto the floor for restaurants, like just to be able to work a table was absurd in my day.
But that's what I'm saying.
The menu testing, the wine knowledge of notes and tannins and the difference of seasons and like the ingredients and recipes to the dishes and the items and like those things were just musts. You know what I mean? Like they were just musts. You had to know them because then how could you confidently stand at the table? So like I guess that's another thing too. It's like you guys wait the tables with like I feel like such almost like limited knowledge of the industry that you're working in with almost disregard, almost to like the point of negligence and disregard. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how can you confidently even take the table? You know what I mean? How can you even
confidently take the table because
it's like fake it till you make it.
It is fake it till you make it. And but that's how my generation has literally been produced. Fake it till you make it.
Why is
if
that
you can put off to the world that, you have your life together and you really don't, it's fine. Yeah, it's super unhealthy. However, it's like an act. But I think part of the reason, when you think about the things that are, like at least with my generation, the type of TV shows and movies and things that were going on around you, there was always an aspect of fake it till you make it. Make it everybody else believe that you are the true best version of yourself, even if you're not.
Okay, well that's like, okay, again, that's great. You know what I mean? We're talking about the best version of yourself. The you know what I mean?
But you don't think
awesome.
that has any correlation?
I mean, definitely confidence is key. You know what I mean? I think like certain much confidence is key, but then
and that's a thing too when it comes to waiting tables. You have to have confidence. If you don't, you are not going to survive.
Well, we have to note this fake it till you make it when we go into social media and podcasts, because I feel like that is like the worst. You know what I mean? Because it's almost condoned where it's like everyone's like,
and I will say,
go stand behind it, like just do it. Like if that's what you want to do, go. Like
I will say that
done,
with that whole thing, the fake it till you make it, I will say that in certain aspects of my life, it's a lot more prominent than in others.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like personally, professionally, or like
yeah,
just
I feel like, you know, a lot of the time it is bad, but professionally, fake it till you make it. Like
Okay. So that you take your tables like that. You know what I mean? You go from there, but. All right, you get confidence. Like what? With every single table, you just get a little more confident about it.
Yeah, and when I get a compliment, it makes my freaking day. When somebody tells me, you know, you're the best waitress we've ever had.
They're embellishing.
They're not embellishing, because I've gotten that comment many a times before. But then I'll share a story now. There was a table that I had a few weeks ago, and you know, the guy was very receptive to me and very liked the way that I did it, thought that I knew a lot.
Okay.
But then still had the audacity to say to me, you know, I just really prefer a male server.
Yeah. He said it to you though?
Yes.
I love it though. He definitely grabbed his cojones.
Well, because he was like, and his friend is sitting across from him looking absolutely astonished. And
no way.
Well, I mean, because here I am, you're just telling me that I did a wonderful job, and then you're going to tell me, well, yeah, you did a great job, but I still would have preferred a male server.
Awesome. I like
and
that.
How
did that make you feel? No, I'm just
I mean, he gave me reasons to back it up, not that I asked.
He gave you reasons?
Yeah.
Oh, he went into detail.
Oh,
Please,
yes, he did.
No,
because he was saying, he said that he feels that, you know, male servers are just a lot more competent, and, you know, they're a lot, and they're a lot more straight to the point, and they're not gonna beat around the bush. They're gonna tell you how it is, and they're gonna make sure that your stuff.
The nail on the head right here, isn't it?
And I was just like, you know,
Were you offended?
A little bit.
What did you rebuttal though?
I rebutted with, you know, our restaurant where we work now is primarily, our waitstaff is primarily women.
How old was this man that said this?
I would say he was probably in his mid 60s.
Yeah. I love that.
Mid 60s white dude.
Because you had to.
And he had his collar popped.
Popped. How did he was dressed well?
Yeah.
To the T, to the 9 or no?
To the T, to the 9, and
All right. Let it be known.
Let it be known. I mean, left me a great tip.
Right.
Not gonna.
But with the 2 cents.
But with the 2 cents. And I'm not working for a 2 cents.
But you got the tip.
I did get the tip. However, it's and I know that way back, probably when you were serving, there was more, was it primarily more men, waiting tables and stuff?
I want to say it was 50-50. You definitely had, every restaurant that I worked at definitely had strong male servers.
Yeah.
I would say this is the first time where I've worked at a place where there's one guy who waits tables and he's so-so. You know what I mean? That's just because he's...
No, seriously.
But again, I think he's so-so because he's, a product of your generation, not because he's a man. You know what I mean? I just think that insane.
We have a lot of different generations that work at the restaurant that we work at.
Primarily Z and millennial.
And millennial. However, there are some younger ones too. And Branden will stop at no degree to let everybody know, my generation. My generation's top dog.
No.
Well, it's that millennial. Sorry, millennials. Love y'all, but
what is that supposed to mean?
The millennials. It's just
what about it?
This is the issue with our society. Is that everybody? I mean, we're doing the same thing, but everybody has an opinion on everybody's different generation.
True.
You have so much that you could say about my generation that bothers you, whereas
I try to be open to it. This is me being receptive to it.
Yeah, and I'm being receptive to yours too.
All right, but not
just
all the
how
time.
you think that we're not professional.
What, the front of the house?
Yes.
All of you are. No, none of them are. I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to
Sorry,
bite my
everyone out
tongue
there.
with that one because
All of you guys are lacking. Everybody who waits tables under the age of 25 sucks. I'm sorry. Like, you're just doo-doo. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it to you, but do better. You know what I mean? Other than that, Papa John's. No, I'm sorry. That kid makes me, I love that kid. I know you should have even said it, but I love that kid so much. The do better kid. You
Do
know what I
better.
mean? Yeah. He inspires me all the time. He inspires me
that's
all
so
the time.
nice. That's
Yeah,
so
dude.
nice.
I
of
wish I
you.
knew his name, actually. Do you know what I mean? Rather than who he worked for. So shout out. You know,
Shout out to you.
shout out to you for inspiring me even today. And look, he's one of you. He's in college right now. You know,
One
see?
of me. I'm not in college anymore.
Well, I'm saying he's, of that nature. You guys get all lumped in at a certain point together.
Well, I would love to hear about, some of your experiences working in the back of house because that's something that I can't really fully give my 2 cents on other than the fact that I know me and my generation, it'd be a lot harder to be working in a kitchen than somebody like you.
I mean, like, what is that supposed to mean? Like being a woman?
No, not being. I said it within my generation because we get.
Okay. I thought you were just like me, someone like me. I thought you were saying someone like me. I was like,
no, because you just said, unless you're going to go back on your word here, that my generation is unprofessional in the work
Doo-doo
environment.
caca.
Exactly. So how would you would think that would immediately change when moved into a kitchen? No shot.
No.
It would be 10 times worse.
That's universal. That's universal. I'm sorry. I guess I should
You know what
clarify.
I mean?
That's
Yeah.
universal. Like work ethic just sucks. Like that's just because everyone feels like they should be doing this. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah, but I don't-
what they love, their passion.
But I also know that you can share some stories about some incompetent things going on behind the scene.
I mean, there's always. I mean, listen. I'm not. There's always levels of incompetency that you're gonna have to deal with, regardless in life. You know what I mean? I would just say the disparity of like the front of the house, the back of the house, would really just be like you guys kind of like projecting your frustrations onto the kitchen. You know what I mean? There's never really like if a table's treating you poorly, then the kitchen's getting treated poorly. Do you know what I mean? Like where it's like, why does that need to be the case? Where it's like, we have to feel it too. Like not that and that would probably be like my biggest grievance. Because other than that, like I chose a field that I wanted to be in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So everything else.
And you
like,
enjoy doing it.
Yeah. And I enjoy doing it. Like wasn't a fallback for me. So, I do feel fortunate enough to be doing something that I love. So my only thing would be really just the disparity between, the front of the house and back house, just how they're treated. You know what I mean? It's like only treated well when you want something. You know what I mean? Or can you make me something? Or looking for a meal, or just like an extra favor or something like that. But then it's if you're busy or if you're getting treated poorly, then we have to be treated poorly. And it's like the level. I guess it's like inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's like the level of
I
consistency.
mean, I
isn't
will
there,
say
so.
though, a lot of the time,
And that's universal.
this is my opinion, but a lot of the time when there's something going on with the table, there might be something going on in the kitchen that affected that going to the table.
That's not always fair either, though. It's not
But
just
it
the
doesn't always.
kitchen's
But
fault.
life isn't fair, and working in a restaurant definitely is not
I
fair.
know you didn't just hit me with the life isn't fair. You hit me with the life isn't fair.
But did you hear what I said again? Working in a restaurant is not fair.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think it is, though. You know what I mean? I think
It is. But also,
I think working in a restaurant is the closest thing that you would get to being in like a symbiotic relationship with work. Like it's to me, it's like a restaurant's like almost like a living organism. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And when you're traversing that, like you are a part of that being. Like when every person that goes in, it's like an inhale. Everyone that leaves is an exhale. Do you know what I mean? Kitchen's like the heart. The table
Why is the
the
kitchen
mind.
the heart?
Regardless, the way the servers are the mind. Do you know what I mean? Man, front of the house is like the mind. You're supposed to know the menu and be able to articulate. Everything has an aspect about it that is almost living. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to the transaction, even how you guys are how you're selling every table. You have to work every table. Every person's a little different. That is the closest thing that you really are getting to what life is. Do you know what I mean? Where in other environments, yeah, like if you work in an ER, right? You work in an ER, what are you dealing with? You're working in ER, emergencies. You're dealing with traumas and emergencies all day long, which runs into a similar, right? Like a similar thing. When you're working in law.
But I would have to agree, disagree with you on that because.
What's closest to it?
What do you mean?
Like to that, like what's the closest business or job that you can do to a restaurant that where you're getting
I don't think that there's anything like it.
Exactly. You said to me that you think everyone should work in the restaurant
I do think that everyone should work in the restaurant industry for at least a year of your life.
Like just mandatory. Like this is like
I'm serious. I am so serious. It
military.
teaches you social skills and people skills that you don't even know that you like should have in your back pocket.
I feel like we segued off the being trapped. Like what is being trapped in the industry? What does that mean?
This is my thing.
Clarification on that.
For my generation, a lot of kids use working in a restaurant and working in these jobs as a way to, you know, make a lot of money, save money, get out of their house, get out of their hometown, and that's what it is. However, I've noticed, and this might be just my own opinion, you know, with all the restaurants that we have here in the Hudson Valley, I feel that a lot of people your age started the same way that we did, but saw how much money you were capable of making and didn't want to leave.
So what is that? So that's trapped.
I don't think it's trapped, but I think it is an addiction because
This is worse. Am I an addict or?
Because it's grueling work.
Okay.
I don't know. It might be different from your.
It's either trapped or an addiction.
I think it might be different from your perspective because you're in the back of house. I'm saying for the front of house, when you see how much money you can make on a weekend, you don't really want to give that up where you could go working in a corporate job and you're getting paid once a month.
So how long in the industry till you're trapped? Because you know
I think that if you have been working in the service industry for over 8 years, then you're not leaving.
I do appreciate you saying that, dude, because I believe that it like kind of like gives me some insight as to why you guys treat the industry the way that you do. Because you don't want to be trapped, you know what I mean? Or you feel as if like
I will tell you
trapped
right now that every single one of my friends that works as a front of house person in a restaurant
is basura.
Is what?
Nothing.
Does not want to be there for the rest of their life. They're very happy there right now because of the amount of money that they're making. But the amount of money that they're making is going towards their actual career path, which has nothing to do with the restaurant. Nothing.
But then it's like, okay.
Because this is the thing too. All of us went to college. It'd be kind of a waste if we were to all just go to college and not use any of these degrees.
That's a show in itself. That is
something that we'll get into. But you know what I mean? But also when I graduated from college, I did not want to immediately start applying for jobs.
Why? Why is that?
Because I wanted to be in something that I already knew that I knew how to do and somewhere where I knew I could make a lot of money in a very short amount of time.
It came down to
but it always comes down to the money. In this day and age, unfortunately, that's a lot of the time, that's what it comes down to.
Shouldn't you be making like sacrifices towards your career so that like you can get to where you want to be? You know what I mean? Like you're not going to make all the money now, but
I'm not making all the money now.
You seem like you're making all the money now. You're worried about becoming an addict and getting trapped in the industry.
I'm not worried about becoming an addict because I had a set goal for myself, and my goal for
what's your goal for this?
My goal for myself was that I hopefully am done working in the restaurant by the end of this summer.
So just like quick 2 years in and out?
Maybe,
you know what I mean?
No, as my full-time job.
But part-time?
I would...
But then would you say you're still trapped?
No, because
if you're still waiting tables at 30 and it's your part-time job, are you not still trapped?
I don't want to be doing it when I'm 38, but
you're addicted to the money. You need it. I need that quick cash. You know what I mean? I love it.
If I were to bring any other person on one of my friends, they would say, yeah, the money's addicting. It is. It's addicting.
Okay, so what does it look like? Like, what does the money? Because I have an idea of what I was making 10 years ago when I waited tables.
Would you like to share that with us before I get into mine?
Like on a Friday, Saturday, double.
Let's do like a Friday, Saturday double,
or like
all
a
day.
whole weekend. Like you want like a Friday to Friday, Saturday,
when you
Sunday.
did it way back in the day when you were waiting tables, were you doing it like I am, where like when my weekend shifts are 3 doubles in a row?
Oh, yeah.
So that was you too. Okay, so then do it like that. Do your 3 doubles in a row. How much money you would average?
For the weekend? Anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600. anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600. And I said no to it. You know, and I eventually like said, okay, well, listen, you know, this is what I'm looking to do. It was just a segue for me to get into the back of the house so that I could start
But you couldn't
cooking.
even lie. It was nice.
You know, yeah. But I knew then, even when I was working for it, that I didn't deserve it. And
See, this is where you and I completely,
even
because
then,
why do we not deserve it?
it's like
I'm still putting in the work. I'm still going up to the
Ish.
table. I'm still putting.
Ish.
What do you mean, ish? I'm putting in. I'm doing everything for it.
ish. You know what I mean?
Whatever.
Ish.
No.
Think
because
about the breakdown of it.
He
Think
can't even
about the
give a real
breakdown.
answer. He can't even
Because
give a
look
solid
at-
answer.
Of course, because of all of the hands that it takes to even get
It
that
does
plate
take a
to
lot
the
of hands.
table. So how are you the most deserving for
Okay,
the gratuity?
but this is what I'm saying. Is
it
that
creates a myopic
when
and selfish,
okay,
like it's just
yes. And at this
ideal.
and at this restaurant, it's very different because when I worked at the restaurant that I used to work at the country club, it was a one-woman show. And when I mean that it was a one-woman show, I'm being so serious in the fact that I made all my own drinks, I bussed all my own tables, I ran all the food to my own. I did everything all just me. I had a bartender, but like
You're getting riled up. You know, you're getting riled up. I'm really back.
Well, I'm just like being realistic
I
here.
like
I'm just saying though, like, you know, and I was making less money at that job than I am now.
Yeah, but you know, you have the busser, you have the runner, you have
Yes,
the expo,
but
you
that's
have the
something-
kitchen,
but that's
you have the
something that I
management,
was
you
never
have the
used
maitre
to.
d' or the host. You have all of these individuals. Someone's seating your table, someone was watering your table, someone's clearing your table, someone's
But-
making your food, and someone's bringing your food out for you. So here are all the examples as to why
and
I
I'm gonna-
don't deserve.
And here's a reason. And
$1,200
here's
on a
reasons
weekend,
why they
you know?
do. They get tipped out. I tip them out
Menial.
very well.
Nothing.
That's not.
Absolutely nothing. They get schmittens if they throw them coins and feed on the floor, people. That is what they get tipped out. That is the fact. All right.
That is just so far from the
Press-
truth. It's not even funny. Listen, but here's the thing. If you're not pulling your weight, then you're not getting a good tip
What's
out.
your weight then? What are you pulling here? Because I listed all the things that other people are doing for you. So what are you doing for the table? Right? That's
Okay,
really
but
like,
if you're a busser and you're picking up one cup and bringing it to the dish pit, you're not a busser. You're just standing around literally doing nothing. That's, you know what I mean?
yeah, but if you're a server and you can't tell me the difference between a Sauvignon Blanc and an
I can tell
Outback, then we have a problem.
Okay,
Or-
one of them is a
or-
red and one of
okay.
them's a white. Like,
Okay. Either way, though, do you know what I mean? Like that's the whole. It's the point
Yeah.
I'm looking to get across.
but I'm saying, like, go reverting it back to, you know, the
European
original.
all day, European style all day.
Okay, reverting it back to, you know, the money thing.
Yeah, the addiction to the money.
The addiction to the money. I would say that the amount of money that I make on a weekend is pretty similar to what you said, like
So-
1,200 to
So
1,600.
it's right on par, right?
So
Like,
it's right on par.
it
Which
stayed the same.
yeah, it did stay the same. That's just the weekend. I have this as my full-time job right now. So I will say that at this point right now,
You're making more money than me. Absolutely.
but I will
Like,
say, and I will agree with you on this, and like
either way.
I am addicted to it right now.
Oh God, do we need to get someone for you? Or
No,
can we get-
no, I'm gonna be okay. But
All right.
I am addicted to it right now just because I love the environment. It's fast paced, and I also know that this is not something that I physically will be able to do for that long.
This is physically grueling for you.
Going up to a table every day. Hi, how are you?
That takes-
In my customer
that's a
service
lot.
voice, because how I'm talking right now is not my customer service voice.
And see, that's
It
that's
goes
why
up
you should maybe
12
just be
decibels.
you.
What?
It should just be you when you're talking to your tables, and it wouldn't cost
No,
so much.
because if I
energy.
was just being me, there would be some like plates thrown of like broccoli on people. Okay, because and I've had that happen to me one time. Not at this restaurant, but I had a one time at the restaurant that I used to work at. I had a guy throw a ketchup bottle at me.
Oh, yeah. What'd
his,
you do?
His burger was not hot. I was absolutely slammed this day. His burger wasn't hot enough.
It was which was obviously your fault.
Which was obviously my
Because
fault.
you let the food sit in the window, of course. We know this. No. Hey, finish this.
When you don't have a food runner and you're the only waitress working, am I supposed to be in two places at once? Not possible.
You know how badly I just want to tell you that life isn't fair right now. I'm just saying.
I told you that at the beginning of the episode, and we'll reiterate it.
All right.
But so he was like, so I went to go get him a new burger. I come back. Well, now the fries are cold. So then I had to go get him new fries. And then I come back. and the ketchup bottle's empty. So he takes it and he chucks it at me across the thing. And I literally, in that moment, went right up to my boss and said, I quit. I do not want to do this anymore.
In that moment.
Yeah. She didn't let me. I wasn't.
Whoa, first of all, we need to talk. This is for another episode too. If you quit and she didn't let you, I don't know.
It wasn't like I was being serious. Like, oh, like I quit. It was like I don't want to. I don't want to be treated like that.
I hear it. Okay. Definitely.
But it's like, that's what I'm saying. Imagine if you heard some of the way that people talk to us at the tables to you guys, you would lose your freaking mind. You would lose it. Because you get upset about the way that we act towards you, like when we're all stressed out. But that is a direct result of being mistreated by customers.
Okay. Fair enough.
Like you don't have to be completely, like you don't have to fully get down to their level.
No, but you know what though?
Because you're not paying any mind to them. You're just making the food, making sure it gets out.
No. And I'm gonna cut you off now because you said more points about the back of the house, right? The difference, right? Is nowadays you're hard pressed to find a kitchen that doesn't have an open, like that is a restaurant that doesn't have an open kitchen, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something that's completely differed, you know, through the generation. It's like, that's the norm, you know, before in the past, like if you, like a couple restaurants had an open kitchen or they had a pass that you could kind of see into the kitchen. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, cool, you know, dinner and a show. Now that's become like the industry standard. That's the norm.
People want to watch.
Yeah.
I know that people, I know this for a fact, that people appreciate, you know, when they have a question, they like to see us going up to you directly asking you the question.
Exactly. So to your point is like, we are in it now. Do you know what I mean? There's no longer the autonomy between the front of the house and the back of the house.
I would agree that some of you are in it. Some of you, no shot.
Either...
Not a shot. And
either way, you're in it. If you're on the line and you're on display and people are watching
well, let's talk about the line for a second, since this kind of goes like into the gender ratio thing.
What are you trying to say here?
Why don't we talk about all the people that work in the kitchen? Because all the people that work in the kitchen at our restaurant are male, and all the people that work in the front of house are female.
How do you feel about that? Do you think do you found an issue with it?
I haven't found an issue with it, surprisingly. When I first started working there, I was a little bit worried that was what it was, because,
like, you know, going to be a divide or something.
Yeah.
Like that, but like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what would that actually, I don't know.
But I'm saying, has that changed since your time working back then too? Because
I've only ever worked, in all of my years of working in a kitchen, I've only ever worked with like maybe 5 women in a kitchen. That's not to say that they're not prominent in the kitchen, but the thing is, what I find is that a lot of women in our industry, or in my industry, like the culinary industry, they tend to go straight to becoming chefs. They don't really do line cook. Like, they get an education, and, you know, and I'm not going to even just write them off as pastry anymore, because we're beyond that. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're beyond pastry and baking, and that's become something that's, you know, by gender, whatever, you know, anyone can do.
Yeah.
But a lot of women in our industry go straight, like they become chefs, you know, they go straight into running a kitchen, or go straight into recipe development or kitchen management or some type of administrative role from the jump. You know, they get the education in the field and they're able to jump right into it and be at that level, you know? It's not like you see a lot of women that go through the rigor of the grind, or whatever you want to call it, of like being on the line 55 hours, 60 hours a week. They're just taking a more, I would say, streamlined approach, a more composed approach, treating it like a higher education system, do you know what I mean? As if they should, and putting that level of professionalism behind it. So they're going right into leadership roles, you know, which is why you probably won't see or don't see a lot of women who are just working as line cooks or in a restaurant like that, because they're all out there running their own establishments, or, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least me personally, that's what I would say. I wouldn't say it's because there are less of them or they don't want to do it. I think they're just taking a more, you know.
What about front of house though?
Well, that's just.
Because let's be real here. When in society did it change that, like, majority of women were going to be in the front of house? But because I think that people like to see I think that women are more comforting. And I think that
Absolutely.
exactly. And I think that they make you feel more at peace when you're in a restaurant.
Yeah, definitely. But I think there needs to be like, well, you were just saying, right, that like the stats are still 60-40.
Yeah.
You know, like 60 men.
Yeah.
Right? To 40% women in
Which is so
front of-
surprising to me. But I think it's just because the one that we work on is just so flipped.
Yeah. It's just it's all ladies in there. But you know, no, I do hear that. What was the question again? Because I definitely got lost at that where you were saying like, how do I feel? Is
like with the front of house, like, do you like, are you surprised nowadays that it's like majority? Like, well, I guess no, not really, because it's
Technically
technically
not,
but in our situation, it is.
Yeah, in our situation, it is. I believe in balance. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I think when you see all ladies of the same age, then you're kind of like, well, there is no like control here or whatever. I don't know. Maybe like they're kind of doing what they want to do, or they don't really care. I don't mean, maybe a lackadaisical approach. It's just the rigor of having a male on staff in the front. Like, you just feel like a guy, like those guys are just taking their job so seriously. You know what I mean? They want to be the best. Like, if the guy's doing it, he wants to be the best at it. So
You don't feel that way about women?
you literally just told me that you guys are doing it for the dinero and that you don't want to get trapped. And you literally just gave me all the reasons.
I do not want to get trapped, and I am doing it for the money. However,
as to why you won't
a lot
take
of
this
other
job
people
seriously.
are. It's not that I do take it seriously, though. I do take it seriously because those are things that I care about. I care about the money, and I probably could increase my professionalism a little bit, but you know,
Okay. Well,
that's something that we can discuss at a later time.
I think so. I mean, for the most part, I do feel good about the conversation and what we got out of it. At least, like, I have an understanding of where you guys are coming from as to how you approach your job. Do you know?
And I understand with you as well.
Do you think so? Because
No, you
don't.
I do a little bit, but also I'm stubborn.
It's just right. You guys just write us off. Like, there's the
No, that's not true. Nobody writes anybody off. It's like it's a dynamic. It's a dynamic thing.
Okay. It's fair.
And we can leave it at that.
We can leave it at that. I mean, I think fair enough. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
We can close the argument on that term. You know, I feel some resolve in knowing that at least like the opinion based of like, that side of, all right, well, you have a set time of how long you want to do this, and what you're expecting to get out of it, how you're using it to better your life.
And I hope that like I was not discrediting anybody that does this for a living. I can like give you guys so much props because I would never be able to do that ever
for a living.
No,
you do know it's the second largest industry in the country.
I do know that, and we discussed that yesterday.
And there's many careers in it, and you could absolutely make a life for yourself doing this.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. As long as we know that, thank you everyone. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. For tuning in. Next episode, though, catch us on the age of transparency and therapy. We will be going into some psychology and how we view things and think that, that has changed over time. It really has been a good time and a blast. Hope to catch you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks so much.